Hello, welcome to another GoJS intermediate tutorial. This video will broadly explain what tools are and how they work in GoJS, covering some basic class properties and functions. Further detail on specific tools can be found in our other tools videos. Using GoJS requires programming in JavaScript and familiarity with HTML and CSS. Additionally, this video assumes you understand the basics of GoJS, which are covered in the GoJS Beginner Videos series. Tools handle all input events in GoJS. There are several predefined tool classes that implement all of the common operations a user may do. The tool in use is stored in diagram.currentTool. By default, the current tool is an instance of the Tool Manager class, which is stored in diagram.toolManager. The Tool Manager is responsible for finding a tool that is ready to run, then setting it to current tool. The current tool processes all input events, including mouse, keyboard, and touch events, until the tool decides it is finished, at which time the diagram.currentTool reverts to diagram.defaultTool, which is normally the tool manager. Each diagram has an instance of most tool classes, managed by diagram.toolManager. ToolManager stores its tools in properties named after the tools they store. So, for instance, if you wanted to access the resizing tool, you could call diagram.toolmanager.resizingTool. The tool manager's tools can be split into three categories: mouse down tools, mouse move tools, and mouse up tools. Toolmanager.mouseDownTools stores a list of all tools that might fire when a mouse down input event is triggered. Toolmanager.mouseMoveTools stores a list of all tools that might fire when a mouse move input event is triggered. And toolmanager.mouseUpTools stores a list of tools that might fire when a mouse up input event is triggered. Input events registered by the page are canonicalized into GoJS input event instances and handled by the toolmanager.currentTool. If currentTool is a tool manager, it checks for the first mouse down or mouse move or mouse up tool that can start. If it finds such a tool, it makes that the new current tool, so that it can handle all events until it decides it's finished. While each pre-built tool in GoJS is used for a different purpose, all tools are guaranteed to have some functions and properties. The isActive property gets or sets whether the tool is started and actively doing something. The isEnabled property gets or sets whether the tool can be started by a mouse event. The canStart function is used by the tool manager to see if the tool may be started by mouse or touch events. If the tool.isEnabled is false, this will always return false. Otherwise, it will return a Boolean based on some arbitrary function code. The doActivate function is called after the tool becomes the diagram.currentTool and sets the isActive property to true. Once the tool is active, it listens for input. If received, it calls the proper handler function, such as doMouseDown or doKeyUp. Once terminal input is received or doCancel is called, the tool is stopped with the stopTool function. ToolManager.currentTool is set to the default tool, and the tool is deactivated and stopped. For more info on any of these functions, see the tool documentation page on gojs.net. Also worth mentioning is the command handler class, which implements various commands such as delete selection or redo. The command handler includes keyboard event handling to interpret key presses as commands, such as Ctrl-C for copying, Ctrl-V for pasting, and Ctrl-A for select all. See the command handler documentation page on gojs.net for a complete listing of pre-built command key bindings. You may define a command handler subclass or override methods. See the extensions intro page on gojs.net for more information. If you want to change the interactive behavior tools manage, in many common cases, you may do so by setting properties on the diagram, your parts, or on individual graph objects. More generally, you may need to modify one or more of the tools. This can be done by setting properties of tools, or in more extreme cases, overriding tool functions or even subclassing tools entirely. We will not override tool methods or subclass tools in this video. The remainder of the introductory tool videos focus on how to tweak tool behavior by setting properties on a tool, diagram, or part. It's also worth noting that tools often make use of adornments for various purposes. An adornment is a special kind of part that is associated with another part, the adornment.adornedPart. Commonly, an adornment is added to a selected part to help indicate what behavior is now acceptable. If you have any experience with GoJS, you've probably seen an adornment and didn't know it. For example, when we click a node, by default, a blue outline appears. This is the default selection adornment for a part. We'll explore adornments a bit later in the tools videos. That's it for this video. To learn more, visit the intro page on tools. We recommend you watch Tools, Resizing, Rotating, and Adornments, or Tools, Relinking, Link Reshaping, and Tool Parts next. Head over to Gojs.net to see hundreds of samples, read more about Gojs features on the intro pages, or peruse the full API documentation. Sign up for an unlimited free trial, and you'll get 30 days of developer-to-developer support for free.